The evidence was all in. The machinery of the law had worked without a hitch, and the beak, having adjusted a pair of pince-nez which looked as though they were going to do a nose-dive any moment, coughed like a pained sheep and slipped us the bad news.
"The prisoner, Wooster,"
he said, and who can paint the shame and agony of Bertram at hearing himself so described?
"will pay a fine of £5.
Oh, rather, I said. Absolutely. Like a shot. I was dashed glad to get the thing settled at such a reasonable figure. I gazed across what they called a sea of faces till I picked up Jeeves, sitting at the back. Stout fellow, he had come to see the young master through his hour of trial. "I say, Jeeves," I sang out, "have you got a fiver? I'm a bit short."
"Silence!"
bellowed some officious blighter. "It's all right," I said, "just arranging the financial details. Got the stuff, Jeeves?" "Yes, sir." "Good egg."
"Are you a friend of the prisoner?"
asked the beak.
"I am in Mr. Wooster's employment, your worship, in the capacity of gentleman's personal gentleman." "Then pay the fine to the clerk."
"Very good, your worship." The beak gave a coldish nod in my direction, as much as to say that they might now strike the fetters from my wrists, and having hitched up the pince-nez once more, proceeded to hand poor old Sippy one of the nastiest looks ever seen in Bosher Street Police Court.
"The case of the prisoner Leon Trotsky, which,"
he said, giving Sippy the eye again,
"I am strongly inclined to think an assumed and fictitious name, is more serious. He has been convicted of a wanton and violent assault upon the police. The evidence of the officer has proved that the prisoner struck him in the abdomen, causing severe internal pain, and in other ways interfered with him in the execution of his duties. I am aware that on the night following the annual aquatic contest between the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, a certain license is traditionally granted by the authorities, but aggravated acts of ruffianly hooliganism like that of the prisoner Trotsky cannot be overlooked or palliated. He will serve a sentence of 30 days in the second division without the option of a fine."
"No, I say, here, dash it all," protested poor old Sippy.
"Silence!"
bellowed the officious blighter.
"Next case,"
said the beak, and that was that. The whole affair was most unfortunate. Memory is a trifle blurred, but as far as I can piece together the facts, what happened was more or less this. Abstemious cove though I am as a general thing, there is one night in the year when, putting all other engagements aside, I am rather apt to let myself go a bit, and renew my lost youth, as it were. The night to which I allude is the one following the annual aquatic contest between the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, or, putting it another way, boat race night. Then, if ever, you will see Bertram under the influence. And on this occasion, I freely admit, I had been doing myself rather juicily, with the result that when I ran into old Sippy opposite the Empire, I was in quite fairly bonhomous mood. This being so, it cut me to the quick to perceive that Sippy, generally the brightest of revellers, was far from being his usual sunny self. He had the air of a man with a secret sorrow. "Bertie," he said as we strolled along toward Piccadilly Circus, "the heart bowed down by weight of woe to weakest hope will cling." Sippy is by way of being an author, though mainly dependent for the necessaries of life on subsidies from an old aunt who lives in the country, and his conversation often takes a literary turn. "But the trouble is that I have no hope to cling to, weak or otherwise. I am up against it, Bertie." "In what way, laddie?" "I've got to go tomorrow and spend 3 weeks with some absolutely dud. I will go further, some positively scaly friends of my Aunt Vera. She has fixed the thing up, and may a nephew's curse blister every bulb in her garden." "Who are these hounds of hell?" I asked. "Some people named Pringle. I haven't seen them since I was 10, but I remember them at that time striking me as England's premier warts." "Tough luck. No wonder you've lost your morale." "The world," said Sippy, "is very grey. How can I shake off this awful depression? It was then that I got one of those bright ideas one does get round about 11:30 on boat race night. What you want, old man?